Catherine Spencer Gray exactly where she'd planned to be, awake, dressed, and 2 cups of tea into the morning before most of London had opened its eyes. She'd slept 7 hours, unbroken. Sid had reminded her that war was won by soldiers who knew when to rest, a truth Catherine had let herself forget. This was war, whatever they called it in the papers. She sat in the armchair by the window, scrolling through the morning's coverage with the focused attention of a general reviewing battlefield reports. Every screen was on, muted. The headlines were brutal. She'd expected that. PM admits illegal surveillance. Mortimer named in murder. Government in crisis. Her phone buzzed on the side table. 43 missed calls. Social media had split the country in 2. Hashtag Keep Catherine trending #1. Hashtag Resign Now trending #2. She was the top trending topic in the world. She noted this without visible reaction, then set the tablet aside as her private secretary entered.
First polls just dropped. 68% public support.
Her eyes flickered. She buried it fast.
82% of MPs want you gone.
Of course, the public didn't get to vote on her survival. Only her party did. Only the people who'd spent years waiting for the moment they could replace her with someone safer, someone who knew how to keep quiet. She sipped her tea, the taste of mornings alone.
Then I suppose we'd better get started.
Her phone buzzed. She glanced down. A text. This one was from Sid.
Trending above a cat video. Half the internet wants to marry you. I'm not jealous. Much.
The first real thing on her face all morning.
The cabinet room at number 10 had witnessed 2 centuries of British history. This morning, half the seats were empty. Catherine walked in and felt the absence pressing down on her. The Home Secretary sat rigid, spine straight as a blade. The Cabinet Secretary looked like he hadn't slept either. The Attorney General reviewed documents, refusing to meet anyone's eyes.
You've destroyed this government. The Home Secretary didn't bother with courtesy. Resign now, we might salvage something.
Catherine didn't rush. She'd learned long ago that in rooms like this, speed was weakness. I'm not resigning. The Met is opening a criminal investigation. The Attorney General finally looked up. I referred it this morning. I had no choice. I understand. Do you? The Home Secretary leaned forward. Mortimer's lawyers are already filing motions. The evidence is tainted. He could walk. You sacrificed your government for nothing. I didn't sacrifice anything. I just stopped protecting the wrong people. The Home Secretary said nothing for a moment. Then, the evidence is tainted. He could walk. Then that's a job for the investigators, not a reason for me to resign. Silence. The Cabinet Secretary's voice turned soft. That was worse. The people around you will be scrutinized. That's simply how these things go. The implied threat was crystal clear. Refuse and they'd go after everyone loyal to her. Catherine stood. I'll see you at the vote. She walked out, didn't look back.
2 hours after the cabinet meeting, and the world has split in 2. In a quiet solicitor's office somewhere in London, neutral ground chosen to keep the cameras away, Catherine sits across from Detective Chief Inspector Natalie Calloway. The room is unremarkable. Everything about it says, "This is procedure, nothing to see here." 3 miles away, in a windowless room at New Scotland Yard, Sid sits in a chair designed to be uncomfortable. The walls are scuffed grey, a metal table bolted to the floor. 2 detectives watch her from across it. The air is different here, colder, harder. Both interviews begin at the same moment. In the solicitor's office, DCI Calloway opens with the caution. Her voice is procedural, giving nothing away.
You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defense if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. She lets the words settle. Then, Prime Minister, you admit to authorizing surveillance on Edward Mortimer without judicial oversight. Catherine meets her eyes. No hesitation. Yes. Who else knew? No one. Catherine's voice is steady. I acted alone.
3 miles out, DS Ryder leans in. His voice is edged steel, feeling for the slightest break. When did the Prime Minister ask you to help with the surveillance operation? Sid's features remain still, her voice restrained. She didn't. Back in the solicitor's office, DCI Calloway consults her notes.
Deputy Head Park, she was your head of security at the time?
Catherine's voice doesn't waver. Check the records. She had no knowledge. 3 miles away, DS Quentin tries a different approach. Calmer, the good cop. You had security clearance, access to communications infrastructure, access to her at all hours. Sid doesn't blink. I was on administrative duties during the period in question. Check the duty logs. DCI Calloway writes something down. The pen moves slowly, deliberately. We'll need to verify that. She had nothing to do with this. With respect, Prime Minister, that's what we'll determine. DS Ryder's voice turns colder. We did check the records. He lets that land. We also have a log of a call between you and the Prime Minister at 3 a.m., 9 minutes.
We're asking if you helped the Prime Minister conduct an illegal intelligence operation. That call was personal, nothing to do with surveillance. The door opens. Catherine had arranged a lawyer for Sid quietly before any of this became official, just in case. My client is answering no further questions. DS Ryder leans back. We'll be in touch. Sid stands, walks out without looking back, but she feels their eyes on her all the way down the corridor.
The cabinet secretary stood at the window of Catherine's office, looking down at the crowd gathered beyond the gates. Thousands of them, signs waving, chants rising. Mortimer's lawyers filed an emergency motion an hour ago. He didn't turn around. All evidence inadmissible, fruit of the poisonous tree. If you don't resign, the case collapses. He walks. Her pulse beat hard against her collar, a wild thing in a cage. But she didn't move. Let him wonder if it was fear or fury. 73% of your own party want you out by tomorrow. You'll lose. He finally turned, crossed the room, sat close enough that she could see the calculation behind his exhaustion. Resign now. Dignity, legacy, and your people are protected. A pause. Deputy Head Park's name stays out of everything. No charges. She walks away clean. And if I don't, then they'll go after her with everything they have. They'll find something. They always do. Catherine stared at him, the man offering her a deal that would save Sid and destroy everything she'd fought for. This was her party. She still believed in it, not the machine it had become, but what it was supposed to be.
Catherine met his eyes. Her voice was final. We're done here. He let the silence stretch, testing. She didn't fill it. Finally, he walked to the door. You have 72 hours. Then he was gone. Catherine sat motionless in the quiet that followed, didn't move for a long moment. Then she picked up her phone and texted Sid. Can you come to number 10 tonight? Late. We need to talk. Catherine needed to breathe. One day, just one. 3 days before the vote, she called Sid and said one word: please. Sid arranged it within 24 hours. A friend's yacht through a retired Navy contact, remote coastal waters, the kind of privacy that didn't exist anywhere inside the M25. The protection detail maintained distance 200 meters out. Sid had argued for closer. Catherine had overruled her. The override was documented, signed, professional cover for a choice that was entirely personal. On the water, with the wind in her hair and the sun breaking through coastal clouds, Catherine felt something she hadn't felt in weeks: the possibility of being ordinary. She stood at the helm, laughing at something Sid had said, and Sid watched her from the deck, leaning against the mast, unable to look away. "You arranged the lawyer," Sid said it without looking at her, eyes on the water. "I couldn't let you walk in there alone." Sid watched her for a moment. Something in Catherine's color, the way she was holding herself. "You're not fine. Don't tell me you're fine." Catherine almost answered. Almost. Then Sid's phone buzzed. She stepped to the far end of the deck, turning her back, voice low and professional. Something routine. 30 seconds. Maybe less. Then, the splash. She spun. Catherine was gone.
Sid hit the water 1 second later. No hesitation, no thought. She dove, eyes open in the cold shock of the sea, and saw Catherine sinking, still, arms loose, no fight left in her. Sid reached her, wrapped an arm around her chest, kicked for the surface. Breaking through, Sid hauled her onto the swim platform. Blue lips, not breathing. Sid hit her radio. "Blake, PM down, drowning, unconscious, not breathing, move now!" She tossed it aside, tilted Catherine's head. 2 breaths, 30 compressions. 2 breaths, 30. Her hands were shaking. She heard herself counting out loud, begging. 28, 29, 30. Breathe! Come on, breathe! Nothing. The seconds stretched. Somewhere 200 meters out, an engine was starting. Still nothing. Come on! Then Catherine convulsed. Water surged from her mouth. She coughed, horrible, gasping, and then she was breathing. Her eyes found Sid's face, confused, no memory of the water at all. "Sid, I'm here. You're breathing. You're crying."
Shut up. In the distance, the engine grew louder, the world finding them again.
Late, after 10. She remembered the dark, how fast it came, how quiet it was. Nothing after that until Sid's face. Her lungs still ached. She hadn't told anyone. The doctor they'd called discreetly had given her a list of instructions. Catherine had kept 2 of them. She had slept for 5 hours, not by choice. Her body had simply stopped negotiating. When she woke, the light had changed, and Sid was gone. The blanket had been pulled up. She hadn't done that herself. The 72 hours were still running. The dark had been peaceful. That was the thing nobody told you, that drowning at the end felt less like dying and more like being released from something. She had been carrying so much for so long. For a minute in the dark of the water, she had put it all down. And she made her decision. She picked up her phone, called her private secretary. 9 a.m., full press briefing, every network. At 9 a.m., Catherine stood at the podium in the number 10 press briefing room, every network carrying it live. Sid stood in the background, present, a statement in herself. I am here because what happens tonight should happen on the record, not behind closed doors. I've spent the last 24 hours considering my position. The True Center Alliance is divided. The institution is in crisis. I am the cause of that crisis. I caused it because a man used the machinery of government to cover up crimes. Because that man had friends in high places who were content to let it stay covered. Because nobody else was going to say it out loud. So I did. And I am not resigning. The room held its breath. Then the gasps, camera flashes like lightning. Tonight, my party will hold a vote of no confidence. If I lose, I will step down, but I will not preempt that vote. I will not surrender to institutional pressure. I will let my party decide, and I will let the public decide what kind of country this is.
She turned and walked back inside. Behind her, absolute chaos. The 3 hours the whips were counting and recounting, while outside the constituency offices were already flooding. The numbers kept changing. Her private secretaries stopped giving updates because the updates were contradicting each other every 20 minutes. The announcement had done something nobody expected. By midday, the phones were ringing, emails stacking up. Voters who had never contacted their MP before were suddenly contacting them. Not hundreds, thousands. The hashtag had shifted. Hashtag Keep Catherine wasn't just trending anymore, it was the only thing trending. The MPs who had wanted her gone that morning were making different calculations by afternoon. It wasn't loyalty, Catherine knew that. It was never loyalty. It was the oldest equation in politics. Survival. Her approval rating was their approval rating. Her fall was their fall. The corridors of Westminster were busy. MPs filing in from every direction. Some nodded, some looked away, some couldn't meet her eye. One didn't bother being subtle. True Centre Alliance, an opposition backbencher, just loud enough. Did you trademark the truth as well? No, Catherine didn't stop walking, but I notice you're still selling the opposite. The corridor went quiet behind her. She kept walking. At 7 p.m., the fate of a prime minister would be decided in the next hour. Catherine sat in her office, Sid beside her, a single phone on the desk between them. They waited in silence, the weight of it pressed down like atmosphere.
I look like someone who nearly drowned, Catherine started.
You looked way worse yesterday, Sid replied, her voice dry. Trust me.
The phone rang. Catherine stared at it, then answered. She said very little. Sid watched the micro-expressions, the slight parting of lips, the almost imperceptible relaxation of her jaw. She hung up. Long silence. I won, 175 to 168. You won. But Catherine's face showed exhaustion, not victory. 52% of my party just tried to remove me. How do I govern like that? Sid stepped closer. You're still Prime Minister. You told the truth. You're still standing. That's what matters. Is it? Mortimer might still walk. Then we deal with that when it happens. But right now, in this moment, you won. Catherine looked at her. Something broke open in her chest, a door she'd kept locked for years, for decades, maybe her whole life. Sid went very still.
I was ready to put it all down, you know, more times than I've admitted. And then I think about you, how hard you fight, like my life is worth fighting for.
You've always been a fighter. You just forget sometimes.
They were very close now. Then Catherine's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, picked up without stepping away from Sid.
Véronique. Oui, je sais, le monde entier regarde. Non, je ne regrette rien. Pas ce soir. There was something warmer in her tone, the kind of quiet affection she never voiced in English. Merci de m'avoir appelé. Ça compte, tu sais.
It's Veronique. Sid watched her. You sound sexier when you speak French, just so you know. You too, when you speak Korean. Sid's expression shifted. She stepped closer. 당신은 내 세상의 아름다움이에요. Catherine went still. Something in her chest opened quietly, like a door she hadn't meant to leave unlocked.
Say that again.
Sid did, lower this time, just for her. 당신은 내 세상의 아름다움이에요.
Catherine didn't need words. She reached up and held Sid's face in both hands, kissed her softly. No performance, no politics, just everything they couldn't say out loud. When Catherine pulled back, it was only barely. You're not leaving. Her hand moves to Sid's chest, palm flat against her heart, feeling it beat for her. Let me. Okay.